Greetings everyone, welcome to Just Advanced, and this is a game that was played in the Tal Memorial of 2018, and we have with the white pieces 5 times world champion and absolute legend, we have Vishy Sir, and with the black pieces here we have the world number 2 Hikaru Nakamura. So this game is going to be an epic game. So without further ado, let's start with this game. Here Vishy Sir starts with e4, e5, we have knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to c4 and bishop to c5. We go into the Chuko piano, castles, knight to f6, d3 and just d6, c3 and just a6, a4 and castles h3. And now you can see the position has transposed into the variation that we normally see and normally play. Here the rook gets into the game. I mean, you just get the knight into the game via e3 or g3, and then you can maybe just push it a bit too forward with f5 and maybe start an early attack, and the game goes on. But here after bishop to a7, now we have knight bd2 just as planned, h6, rook to e1 and just knight to e7. So the game is going on absolutely perfectly. There is no issues right up until now, but there will be many once I show you the complete game. Here bishop to b3, but just knight to g6 and just d4, rook to e8, knight to bishop to c2 and just bishop to d7, knight to f1, c5, and we have d captures, knight to e3, and now just going for this b5. So definitely trying to just open up lines towards the queen side and maybe start an early attack, or maybe just push the game entirely towards the queen side. Anything could happen, but here I think most of it all, he was trying to just push those pawns and maybe start a pawn storm. But here just a captures c4 now, and with the c4, I mean, you've just basically asked for trading everything. Here bishop to c6 was played, but now just c captures was played. But c captures is not something that I particularly enjoy. You could go for a very nice move in this position that I told you about a little bit earlier. Here you could go for this knight to f5, and here knight to f5 is a very nice move. Queen caps on d1 now, rook captures, bishop caps on e4, and now you must be thinking that I've lost a pawn. Why did I even go for this move? Well, the move is bishop captures, and after knight captures, you can just capture this, and you can see that the position is very, very nice for white. And most likely, you keep your chances alive, you keep the pieces on the board, and somewhere along the line you can just maybe hope to do some really, really good in this position. But most importantly, it doesn't lead to an early draw, because here after bishop to c6 we have c captures, and after bishop captures, queen captures on d8, rook e captures, knight to d5, and after knight captures, e captures c4 now. But here after bishop to d2, the problem is you just trade everything, and once you trade everything, it goes into an endgame which is favorable, very, very favorable for Vishy Sir, because here in this position bishop to d4 was played. Bishop to d4 is not at all a good move. The move that you want to play here is rook caps on d5. Rook captures is actually, if you try to I was saying that if you play rook captures here, it's actually a blunder, because of the fact that bishop to e4, the move that you want to play maybe in this position is just keeps the bishops intact, not go for a move like that, because you can even go for this knight jump here, just move the bishop away, so you can just trade maybe one pair of rooks if you're feeling that your position is not that good. But trading the entirety of the situation, because after bishop to d4, just rook caps on a8, rook captures, bishop caps on g6, f captures, and here bishop to c3 was played. But you can understand that with this pass pawn, Vishy Sir's position is absolutely amazing, and defending here is not going to be an easy job. Here rook to d8 was played, but after this knight caps on e5, just bishop caps on e5. Bishop caps on e5 was the blunder that this position just absolutely crumbles after. If you play bishop caps on c3 and after b captures, you are maybe still in the game with a move like rook captures on d5, and after knight captures on g6, king to f7 attacking the knight, knight to f4 attacking the rook, and somewhere along the line, once you move back, mostly this game could end in a draw. But again, the with you being a pawn down, you're gonna have to be very, very careful. But after this knight captures, bishop captures on e5 was played, and this just doesn't work, because rook captures, now I defend the pawn. Now I'm actually just, it's 3-3, but you can understand that g pawn is actually doubled, and the end game is going to be very, very favorable. Here rook to e8 was played, but just f4, we have g5, rook caps on e8, bishop captures, f captures, h captures, and just g4 was played. But after king to f7 and king to f2, it's just very difficult. Bishop to a4 was tried, but now just comes king to e3, and how are you defending the pawn, and how are you stopping that pawn from pushing forward? It's just very difficult. Bishop to d1 was tried, but just king to d4, bishop to f3 now, but just king caps on c4, and yeah, it's just completely lost. Now king to e7 was tried, but now after bishop caps on g7, bishop to g2 and h4, g captures, bishop to e5, and just bishop to f3 was tried. But I mean, how are you ever going to push that pawn forward with the bishops being of opposite colored, and you are 2 pawns down? This is just completely losing, no matter which eye you see it from. Here g5 was tried, but just king to f7, b4, and we have king to g6, and just finally d6 was played, and it was on this move, on just move 42, where Hikaru Nakamura, world number 2, resigned the game. I mean, he was not world number 2 at that time, but still, he resigned the game, and so Vishy got this spectacular victory against him in just 42 moves, and crushing a player of Hikaru's caliber in just 42 moves is absolutely spectacular. And beating him in an end game is definitely special, because you know how amazing he is when it comes to end games. Yeah, and this was not an easy feat. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and yeah, just stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you all for watching.